Alrighty, guys, we got Bitcoin sitting at $63,500. But the big thing we got to obviously speak about today is we are starting to get a little bit of momentum when it comes into the altcoins. And we have officially started to break a daily trend. So now there is work. There's a high here we got to focus on. And we know that there's a short squeeze that's looking to play within Bitcoin and the altcoins. And I want to make sure we are prepared before that short squeeze can happen. Plus, we need to make sure, are we going to come slightly more down? And where are the best buy zones? Now, nonetheless, guys, we had a very bullish weekly candle last week from Bitcoin. We have the stochastic at the bottom over here. We have weekly bullish divergence. Plus, we have the total 3 breaking out over here. For me, this is time now to focus on your entries. There's no better time. Within the last week, we saw fear within the markets. We saw the little capitulation, a nice little $57,000 test over there. Everyone was waiting for 52,000. I said they might trick us. They might stop us slightly early. So now it's very important to understand that we're sitting in the middle range. We're right under the verge of a short squeeze, and we have started to break trends, which means we need the momentum to continue. So if everything plays out, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what you need to track your altcoins with very simple techniques to know when you have to be in these alts. Plus, I'm showing you 10 altcoins today that are breaking trend to Bitcoin, that are breaking weekly trends, and are showing very massive potential to the upside. These are ones that I think are going to be the top coins for me personally in May. And I got a nice little fresh bunch of tokens here for you too. Plus, I see I'm back on Crypto Banter main channel. Guys, hit the like button. Let's go. No more wasting time. Let's go. What's up, guys? Happy Tuesday today. Is it Tuesday? Happy Tuesday to you all. Remember to smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you are brand new to the channel. I want to remind you guys again, we've got a lot of alts and a lot of stuff to go through today. So I want to remind you guys, we do have this coin called GUMMY, and we do have a new token called BAKE that is coming out. So by staking your GUMMY, you get baked. Makes sense, right? But nonetheless, guys, we also have another grabs coming for GUMMY and the airdrop. So we have, I think it's 10 million tokens or 10 million GUMMY that's been given to any new Bybit users. So go below in the description. You will find our links below. And you'll see here, if you want to get the next GUMMY airdrop, which is coming in the next few weeks, this is how you get it. You either open a Bybit account and you're trading with at least $100 or more, a 𝗏𝗏𝗏 or Evo account, and this will qualify you. Plus, we have Sniper School, guys. Sniper School starts again in the next week or two. We're taking in a new fresh bunch. I think we had up to 5,000 or 10,000 people complete the last months of school. And again, guys, for me, by doing school, it just, I would say, doubles your performance. It doubles your performance of understanding the market, understanding the basis of, controlling the emotions, having simple techniques to make you a robot, right? To make you a robot that you don't have to double think whenever you want to buy a token. You have a system, it's built within you. And that is from Sniper School, guys. So if you go below here, you've got Sniper School over here. Go and register. If you have not done school, you are shooting yourself in the foot. This is education. It is free for you guys. Everything is there below once you click that link over there. Okay, guys, how are we doing? Are we bullish or bearish? Just before I get in here, what are we, right? Bullish or bearish?
I'm sideways.
You're sideways. Okay. You're a swinger. I get it. Let's see. I want to see here, guys. Would love to join Sniper Club. No problem. We'll see. We must actually look to give away a couple of Sniper Clubs. I'll get that done over there. Let's see. I want to see, are you guys bullish or bearish? We got someone saying bullish, full bull, neutral at the moment, all bulls. I'm ready trades from yesterday, but bullish. Fantastic. Cool. So what we're looking at now, guys, is where the market's at is we saw a real correction for the first time in a long time, right? Every other time that we saw corrections, there were a couple of days of correction, and then the market would continue to rally to the upside. Now, this is what happens in the bull. But then what you also get is you get a higher time frame correction. And this is where the higher time frames are looking quite toppy. End of the day, if we did look again at how Bitcoin rallied to the upside, it obviously just continued for a long period over here without any major high time frame pullbacks. So we had two phases where we had the pullbacks. We had the first one, which was here when we couldn't get past that 30K. Then we ended up having a pullback for at least 6 to 8 weeks. Then we rallied on for many weeks to the upside, and then we went sideways in this period and a small pullback where Bitcoin did touch that 48K. We went down to 39K, and then we continued the rally to the upside. So what a little bit of a higher time frame sort of pullback. Now, the difference between that is any time that you are buying something when the market has already sort of taken off, you're actually trading that token. You're not investing in that token, right? Because at the end of the day, you miss the investments. Now, what do I mean by investments? I mean $8, $20, $30 Solana. That's an investment. That's something that you could possibly hold for the entire bull market. But if you're buying Solana at 100 or 120 or $150, doesn't mean you couldn't have made money on Solana. Solana still went to $200, but at the end of the day, you were actually in the trading zone. And it's so important again, and I just want to remind you again, when you have these things here, anytime that you're able to get into tokens when the weekly stocks are hitting the bottom zone, and why I'm speaking about it so much is because probably in the next week or two, that this stock's going to be on its way up, and we can't speak about investment entries anymore. But nonetheless, if you can buy tokens that are sitting below the 20% mark on the stochastic RSI on the weekly chart over here, these could actually be tokens, investment entries on the tokens. What does that mean? That means you can enter this token, you can rally, obviously it'll rally to the upside, but you'll survive any of those 20, 30% wicks or dumps that come later on. Anyone that buys higher, that starts to buy when this thing's going up over here, guys, it is a trade. It is not an investment. So what does that mean? It means it is vital that you take profits on that entry that you took on that token. Because if you don't, you didn't buy in the investment zone. Therefore, when the pullback comes down, you can actually go into blood and you can actually go into red. So now by us finally having the pullback and coming down from the 73,000 to these areas, firstly, Bitcoin's held incredibly strong. But for the first time in a while, we're actually getting investment entries again. Entries that you can hold that will rally up incredibly strong, but it'll be so far from your entries that it can survive the wicks in the future. And wasn't that the big toughness or the hardest thing to face over the last couple of months or the last couple of weeks actually, was these crazy wicks, was the crazy volatility, and if you were any sort of late buyer, you went into the red, which probably put you into a lot of fear and a lot of stress. And then it finally got to a point where you're probably not believing that we're even in a bull market anymore. You're probably not feeling anymore, and you're probably getting to a point of regret. And a lot of people actually sold. And in that time where everyone starts selling and that fear starts happening, somehow we get a buy up, right? We sort of hit a level where there's not much interest in the market. Everyone's scared, and someone comes and buys up. And all of a sudden, what we saw yesterday, last week, is what we saw. 57,000 is where we bottomed, and we ended up closing at around the areas of the $64,000 zone. So the first thing that was very important again was the stock hitting the bottom. What did that mean? That meant that the reversal was coming. Now, what usually happens, guys, is when we get to the bottom or we start going under 20% is when it actually goes faster. So it will slowly come down, and then the moment it gets to oversold, it actually goes fast. And what that does is it actually, all of the late buyers here, they immediately go into blood. And then they really get fed up. Like they get into a point where it's really starting to suffer now. So they completely wipe them and they completely shake it. And that's the last straw where a lot of people quit, a lot of people stop. And end of the day, we see this buy up, and we wanted to see this positive candle over here. So I just want to zoom in so you can see it a lot better over here. That zoom in, and that's a pin bar candle. So you'll see them a lot, and I'll show you here previously as well. There was a previous pin bar candle that happened there too. Okay, so these pin bar candles are very important to see when you add a reversal to the downside and a reversal to the upside. So if we're going to the upside and you see later on, and why I'm saying this is because this thing's never lied before, right? Every time it has been at the bottom, we have had some sort of reversal and we have had some sort of response within the markets. Okay, now the question is, the next time we are up there and you are seeing the signs of a pin bar to the upside, it's giving you the exact same signal. So the same signals you're seeing here, you're just going to see it in opposite. You're going to see the FOMO, you're going to see the memes going crazy, you're going to see it all over Twitter, everyone going absolutely insane. The normal thing starts to flow there, and that's when you'll see the same thing. So the first thing I want to remind you guys again, before I get into the entries of the alts, before I get into all of those things, I want to remind you again, you are at the phase where you can actually take altcoins and take risk and buy them at good levels, but you're allowed to actually buy altcoins now and to actually degen slightly and to actually open up a little bit of your risk. Now, the biggest mistakes that everyone makes is they open the risk when we're going to the upside. They start buying memes when the markets are moving. They start buying small tokens, small market cap tokens in the area of when the market's already moving to the upside. Guys, it's never time to take risk when the market is going to the upside. You actually need to start decreasing risk as we get to the upside. So a lot of people are actually getting it wrong. They're opening risk when the markets go up, and they're closing risk when the market's going down, where it's actually the other way around. When the market gets to oversold territory, you can actually open up that portfolio. And again, you're splitting into it a couple of things. And I want to remind you this one more time. I've said it over the last couple of shows, but I'll remind you again. Every single token in your portfolio, you go to the top and you measure how far they dropped on the last 6 weeks, okay? And if they're dropping anywhere above 50 to 60%, they are a high-risk token. They don't hold well when the market comes down, okay? Any tokens that are holding 30, 40%, they're moving a little bit into the medium risk sort of vibes. Anything that's around the 20%, what Bitcoin was, that's more or less your lower risk when it comes to the type of token. So end of the day, you're never rating your token to the upside. You're actually rating it to the downside. Now that you know that, you can actually categorize your tokens. Doesn't matter how much you love your token in the world. If it came down 60%, it is terrible when the market goes red. So do you ever want to hold that token again when it is red? Or do you want to hold it when it's green? Because probably before it actually did 60% to the downside, it probably did 500% to the upside first, right? I'm talking about things like Render. I'm talking about Injective. I'm talking about Thorchain. I'm talking about many of these tokens that are crazy things to the upside. So they're phenomenal tokens to have when we go to the upside. But then there is a time we need to call it. So again, for anyone that wants to simplify, anyone that is struggling in crypto at the moment, follow the simplest strategy that you can do. Open up your portfolio now. Right? Every single one of them of a low risk, medium risk, high risk. And again, your low risk is what, end of the day, what do you want in crypto? For me, it's Bitcoin. Me, it's a big sense of I've given way too many Bitcoin away in the last couple of years. I've only been in the space, I think, 3 years. But I've given away a lot to the market. So I'm done with that crap now. So by the time we get to the 80 or 85% to the upside stochastic, I'm actually selling a lot of my alts into Bitcoin. I don't want to lose Bitcoin anymore. I'll keep a little bit of USDT for some margins or for some leverage trades if I want to play the market, and maybe a little bit of ETH. Okay. Now that I know that, literally just go to your stochastic. I'll show you this again. This is where you buy all of your tokens. The next time that this stochastic goes, and this is only focused on the Bitcoin stochastic, is when this next time it goes up to the upside over here. By the time it hits this yellow line, which is 80%, get out of your high risk, very high risk tokens. Doesn't matter if you're selling the top, doesn't matter if they go more, who gives a crap? They suck when they come down. And what does it mean? It means end of the day, when we get to the top here, a reversal is coming. The market will pull back at some point. It always does. It always has. And as much as you try to convince yourself not, it always pulls back, right? So nonetheless, my goal here is not to get the tops and bottoms anymore, is to use the damn market. I would love every time the market goes up that I 3x my Bitcoin. Incredible. And I'd love to bank my Bitcoin and then use my Bitcoin when the market is sucked and dry and it has fear in it and it's terrible. Use my Bitcoin to go buy more altcoins. Like that for me sounds like a phenomenal way of doing things. So the next time you get up to the 80% mark, get out of your high risk tokens. Doesn't matter the price. You know what's crazy about this? You're not even looking at the price. You're not even looking at what the price of Bitcoin is or what the tokens are. You don't care. You're working off sentiment. You're working off the market is getting exhausted to the upside or to the downside. And that's what you're playing off. And that's how simple you can keep crypto. You don't have to become too fancy or go too crazy around these things. Yes, guys, smash the like button. Smash, smash, smash. The more you smash the like button, I might stay on main. They'll be fantastic over there. By the time we get to 85, get out of your medium risk. By the time we get to 90%, be in your safest risk that you can be. That's it. And if you just keep this going, for the next 5 years, you'll be very rich. Very rich, very simplified, because you are just using the market for what it is. A lot of mistakes that people are making, falling in love with tokens, falling in love with the tech and what it can do in the world, but they're not like multi-dollar millionaires yet. Like you could fall in love with these things when you're retired, like no problem. Then you can have fun. But for now, we're here for financial freedom, right, guys? So proper yes, if you're getting and you're understanding. So I could jump back to the rest of the charts for the day. Proper yes. I want to see the yeses flowing. Craig, please fly the yeses when they do come through. That we got it and we're going to learn from the last pullback. Very important, guys. And I want to excite you one more time. The alt season hasn't started. The real leg of the bull hasn't started. We had the initial one. We went to the highs, which was an incredible ride. But nonetheless, we haven't had the blow off top. We haven't had like the super craze thing just yet. And that for me is still coming at some point. So I want to excite you that this last little phase that you just learned through, if you were a little bit of a late buyer or, you know, all these little things, like these are lessons you can learn now and you can really fix it in the next run. There's still time. We haven't lost any major sort of areas at the moment. And I'm still looking at a lot of upside within the markets. And, you know, things only just starting to get going. So it is very exciting. So I want to show you one or two more things here. So another thing as well, keep eye for bullish divergences. We got that on the weekly. But what I want to show you here is the USDT dominance on the weekly too. This is getting to the top. So what this basically means is I love using this chart because it shows me when people are getting into tokens and when they're getting out of tokens into the crypto dollar, right? The USDT. And you can see that this thing is getting to the top. So the fact that this thing ended up going up for the last, 6 weeks or so is why we saw a bit of red in the market. Okay. Now where we're at is firstly, we went up to this major area here. I actually want to just close this RSI for a second. Give me a sec. There we go. Okay, so what we ended up doing was we ended up pumping up to this previous low over here, and we formed a pin bar candle to the downside here. So that for me is giving signs of a possible reversal in this area here. Plus what we have here is the stochastic sitting at the top. Now, what you also got to pay attention to is this thing lost a very important support. Now, this was the bear market, guys. This was the bear market where everything was low. Bitcoin is around 20K, these sort of zones. And then finally, we lost this trend. We started to make our way. Bitcoin started to make its way to 40K. And then eventually we got down to 70. And what we want to continue seeing here is you can see how every time that this thing lost a level, I just want to show you here. So the moment that we lost this level over here, we finally went to 40. We came and we tested it. Remember, we went to that 36, 35K sort of zone, and we got rejected. Then what happened is we went to 60, 70K. Then we bounced on a bit of support. Then we're at that area of a push to the upside where we went now with the pullback. Guys, if we reject here and lose this level again, like what does that mean then? Where's that next? And this could finally be the areas of that's 80K, 100K, all of these sort of things. And remember, right now, all you have to be focusing on is building your portfolios. Wait until we have to fight where we're taking profits on Bitcoin. Like wait until Bitcoin, let's say, goes to 80, 90, 100. Then what? Where are we going to guess? Are we going to do this? Like, that's why these tools and understanding these basic sense of these charts will help you a lot. And I think the main thing is not to get out of Bitcoin. I think it's just to try accumulate as much as we can, guys. We have a lot of new institutional money. We have a lot of big money out there at the moment that is literally sucking up Bitcoin every single day. Every dump gets bought up. Every major capitulation gets bought up. They literally just sucking. So end of the day, it's like you have to make a decision here. Your goal should at least be trying to own at least one Bitcoin. To fight your ass off to do it. And if you don't have the money to do it now, literally farm it. Literally use the altcoins to go up, bank your Bitcoin, come down, and just keep focused on that. Very important. Old Sheldon is back. Huh? Old Sheldon is back. I'm back, baby. I'm back. Okay. So that's USDT dominance over there. And let's quickly jump in here. So I want to show you guys quickly, we are seeing a little bit of signs of strength within altcoins. Obviously, we saw a nice little Bitcoin bounce, but we are seeing a little bit of a break of a trend here. So what we do have at the moment is we have quite a bit of resistance over here. And what this is called is this is like a short squeeze zone. This is basically where the bears are trying to hold prices. So you can see we bounced really nicely. Altcoins did really well because Bitcoin actually went lower. The previous low over here was 59,000 on Bitcoin. We actually went to 57,000, where if you look at the altcoins actually made a higher low. So when the dump was actually happening or when Bitcoin was falling, I don't know if you saw the dominance started to reverse slightly. We started to actually slowly start getting momentum with alts, started gaining strength with alts. Therefore, they held pretty good. And now we've had the push up. So what I'm looking for now is here we had a lower high over here. Lower highs, we then got a low in play, and then a higher low. So what we have is lower highs, higher lows. And now the next question is the break of this one or the break of this one will give us a direction of alts. Okay, right now as it stands, we then made our way up and we broke the trend. So what I want to see now is at some point we have to secure this higher high over here. Now what they're also doing here is this is where shorters or any bears are trying to hold control. So this is where every time price goes there, look at yesterday, we just got to that 67K mark and we got rejected. And we just got there and we got rejected. That's the area of where they're holding. So what that means for me is short squeeze position. So it means that we will fight and we will maybe take our time to get up here. Okay, and there might even be a pullback in between. I'll speak about the pullback in a sec. But the moment we crack through there, I'm seeing a squeeze very quickly to the highs. And obviously, if we get through the highs, I see us then obviously rallying continuously strong. And remember, those bears who held this area over here, they've actually moved down. They're sitting over here now. So I see this level being stronger than the top. I think if we get through this level with ease and we squeeze, I don't think we're going to fight too hard to get through those ones. And then I'll obviously show you techniques in the show to where we can go and what are these crazy targets, because I need you to do me one favor today. I need you to understand that the market was tough in the last 6 weeks, and it still might be tough for the next couple of days. But if this market wakes up, you got to get your crap together. You got to get yourself together, and you have to start thinking big and where these things are going to actually go. Because we still did not see the full blow off with alts. We still did not see the alt season. We still did not see this drop down. And look at this over here. And I actually showed this yesterday. It's actually a bearish pattern. You know, when something goes up slowly like this for a long period of time, so it pumps up and then it goes, it's actually, it's a reversal pattern that's forming. And the longer that it decides to go up is the faster that it moves when it actually happens or starts to lose the trend. So what you have is you have something creeping up to the upside. If it breaks the top, super bullish. If it breaks the bottom, it's bearish and it's going to come down very, very, very quickly. And we saw this in the last bull market. So let's get this down. So what you're seeing here is you're seeing a massive uprising wedge that is in play here at the moment. And I'll show you another one that was in the time there too. There's a big uprising wedge too. I'll just show you. Hold on. Dun, 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 dun. There's an uprise wedge that happened too. And this was also the lead up to the last bull market. This was 2019, all the way close into 2020. And then boom, we had the massive alt season. So I want to remind you again that anywhere that you're fishing and every single time you're putting effort into the market, it's for this, guys. It's for the time of when this drops off. And again, we had the small test yesterday, or last week, sorry, and we didn't break it. We have bounced. But nonetheless, this is creeping up. The more higher lows we make, we're going to catch it a lot earlier than the rest, because the moment you get that little tweak of that dropping over here, guys, I'm telling you, one day we're going to see a candle like that. And that, for me, you're going to see an Altcoin popcorn effect that you've never seen before, like where it just goes absolutely. Look at this. Look how dominance came down for literally weeks and weeks and weeks. And this is where we saw those crazy gains in the last bull market. So keep an eye and make sure that you do have this wedge in play, because we may push here. And again, if it breaks here, then Bitcoin's going to like 300K, 500K. Then it's very bullish if these go crazy. And nonetheless, you'll make money with alts anyway, right? But nonetheless, what you really want to try catch is this big drop over here to the downside. That then will mean that every entry that you get now, every alt that you buy now, it will give you so much leeway that you can survive all these wicks going forward. You can survive all of these pin bar candles, all of these crazy things that come later on. You know, you can survive those things by paying attention at the right sort of phases. Now, let's jump quickly in and let's look at where we currently are within the short period of time. So remember, all that we're looking for now is we did get officially a small little higher high, but we got to get to the 67K pretty soon. Now, if we don't end up getting there today, there is a pullback that I'm seeing, and there's two pullbacks. And this for me, again, will be areas for you to be buying, right? To be loading up on alts, and I'll show you which alts in a sec. But here we go. So I do have that if we don't get through that major 67K pretty soon, or we don't push up there within today, especially when the markets open in the next hour, I'm hoping we continue the bullishness. There is that 62K area, and there is even a 60K area. And that would be like a fast flush out. I think that will smack quite a bit. And why I say that might happen is because if you go here to the glass, there is a little bit of liquidations forming longs. There's a bit of long sitting here at around this area over here, which is around the 63K sort of zone. They might send a wick. Okay, and if the wick comes, I think the wick will get bought up really quickly. Remember, I am being bullish when the high time frames are bullish. So it doesn't matter if there's little wicks now and there's little craziness. Over the high time frame view of things, I'm buying at the right time. I'm preparing and I'm loading up at the right specific times when this is happening. So let's go back over here. Those are my two major zones. Then what you have here is where we stopped yesterday, which is the 65. So if we push through today and we get through that 65, we'll squeeze quickly to 67. And if we get through 67, we'll then be at the area of 72 pretty quickly. Okay, so this is on the shorter time frame sort of view over here. Then I want to show you quickly altcoins on the total 3 here too. This is your buy zones at the moment. Alts are holding really strong. So if there is another little dip off, it will be maybe around 5 to 10%. It will probably be a lot of retests of major resistances, which I'll show you guys now on the alts. That for me would be the buy zones of what is too expensive right now. So if you go look at a coin and your coin's popped off for the day and it's popped off and it's doing pretty good and things like that, and it's a little bit too expensive to buy now, if this little dip off happens over here, what was expensive can now become at a decent rate. So you got to look at it in that way, okay? That yes, some coins may drop now, but at the end of the day, the expensive ones are the ones that have popped really good. You get to buy the retests. Now, the next thing over here is obviously we're waiting for Ethereum to Bitcoin. I don't know what's happening to ETH. Absolutely smashed. smashed until one day. Until one day. I know this thing. I've given up on it before, and it's done the crazy things. Just remember that we do have on a very important level here, which is a 618. Let me actually explain this to you guys quickly, because this is going to work when it comes to if you're trading to Bitcoin, if you're trading to USDT, if you're trading to Ethereum. I just want to remind you of the technique that you're looking for here and where are the best areas of strength within these tokens. So if you go to the weekly, you got to look at all of this candle print and look at it very simply. There's one very big bull leg and there's a bear leg. Okay. And end of the day, what you're looking for is the strength, right? You're looking at the strength of which team is stronger. Now, if this bounces here and goes up, this team is definitely stronger, the bulls. Reason being is, if you look at the lows over here, they're way higher than the previous one, right? So for me, this is strength. Now, in order to do that, I use the tools to detect it. I use the tools to track, where are these areas. So what you do again is you take a Fibonacci from the bottom to the top over here, and you're looking at the main 618. And this is known as the golden zone, guys. But on the weekly, it's even more powerful. So if you find any of your tokens now, if you go look at any of them, you will see that they pumped in the last few months. And you'll see that the last few weeks, they have pulled back. But they've only pulled back and they are holding these important areas here. And your RSI bar candle, this is the ideal place to be entering that specific token at those areas. Because what it's showing you is if we hold this level, we still remain very bullish. So now that we see that, look at ETH. ETH is still holding that 618. Okay, and the next thing, obviously, that you want to see is the major trend break that can come later on. So I know it's a bit boring, we're not speaking about, nonetheless, we do need a bounce here, and we do need to break this trend in the next couple of weeks. And therefore, because that's one step closer to getting that dominance down really hard. So I would still not fade ETH. I would still not fade it a lot at the moment. Like if I look at ETH, like it's done pretty good chart-wise, and where it's at the moment, it has done pretty good. And let's zoom in slightly and see where it is price action-wise. It bounced in this important zone, which was the zone of this $2,800. It's one token that hasn't made a higher high just yet. And there is this little bit of 618 push over here. So if I'm an ETH buyer, I'm actually going to be very strict with this because it's not showing me that it's strong right now. I would wait for the trend break. So some of them, you're going to have to be honest. Some of them are in perfect buys right now. If your altcoin is breaking trends, it's giving you a leading indication that it's stronger than a lot of other ones. And that's sort of what you really want to focus on is the strength within tokens, good tokens at specific levels. So I'll show you one here as an example. And this for me is Casper. Okay, now Casper had an incredible run. This is one of my tokens, by the way. It had an incredible run within the year, finally slowed down, and ended up having the pullback. Now, if I take this Fibonacci from the bottom all the way through to the top, you will see that we are literally, every time that this thing has bounced before, it's on the 618. You see this major 618, and I'll just make it a bit bigger so you can see it. There we go. So what you do from the bottom to the top, exactly on the 618. So where this comes on the higher time frame view, this is an area to start building, because if you think about it, you look at this now, Casper is literally from where it was then, it's now 42% cheaper than what it was. Now, I remember everyone buying the crap out of Casper a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago. Now what? Now you're sitting 40% lower, guys. So for me, it's at a very important fib level. The next thing is, if we look over here on the weekly stochastic RSI is flatlined at the bottom. Now, not only is it flatlined to the bottom to USDT, if we go to this chart over here, which is to the Bitcoin pairing, which is very important to be doing, look how this is also flatlined at the bottom. Let's just move it over here. Look how it is flatlined at the bottom to the Bitcoin pairing as well. So what does that mean? It means I'm looking for a reversal, and I'm looking that the bulls are going to start returning within this token. But not only are they going to return within USDT, you're also going to have a return within Bitcoin, which means that when I'm looking at the next push up within this token, I always want to trade a token that's stronger than Bitcoin, especially if dominance is not coming down. If I can find one of those tokens, look what Casper did in the beginning of the year. That's why it performed so well. Because not only did you have Bitcoin go from $20,000 all the way to the areas of $70,000, you also had this token outperform Bitcoin by how much? If we look over here, percentage-wise, to the upside, you had 180% outperformance of Bitcoin. And therefore, you could see the result of what it actually created. So here we go. So now, if I look at this, not only do I also have a trend here, this is sitting at the bottom too. So Casper is one of them, guys, that I think are in a great buy zone now. I think they're at a great area. Plus, they're also starting to break trends over here. So if you look here, every time I track this down to the major area, I also just pop in a trend line. And if we start popping our heads through the trends, remember that ultimately is the best buy zone, which is the 10 cents, 10.5 cents sort of mark. Okay. But if you miss that, the best one here is to wait for a daily close outside this trend. If we close out there, start entering through there. Now, the next thing I want to show you guys before I get into the alts now, or into the rest of the alts, is what we need these coins to do. Okay. So remember when I explained to you now that if you look at a bull scenario, if we have a leg to the upside and you come down, you want to hold a certain level. And if you hold a certain fib level, stuff like that, we're bullish, right? It means we should have another push to the upside. Now, you also have it the other way, because when this bounces, it's very important that we pass a level here, because if we don't pass a level here, this thing could come back down. Okay. And if you are not aware of that, you can end up getting trapped in that. Okay. And then you can end up going into some sort of loss when that happens. So the way we do that is if we go here, I just want to show you guys, I did a little drawing for you. Let's just see, where is my drawings? There we go. Here's a quick drawing over here. So on the weekly, guys, whenever you got to zoom out and you look at what does your token look like. And again, simplify it. The green leg is way bigger than the red leg. Okay. And you want to find where's that zone. You see these blue dots here, the blue to here. Use that as a sense of your fib direction. Take a fib from there to there. This is where you build zones. On the breaker trends where you're at, and when the RSI is at the bottom. Okay. That's the normal. Now you get into the token. Okay. Now it starts to break trend. The next thing you got to do is you got to take a fib from this high now. So remember, you just took this leg here. Now what you're doing is taking from this leg to this leg. And the reason why you're doing that is because now you're going to put the fib levels in the opposite directions. And why that's important, guys, is because when we finally bounce in an important zone and we break trend, we have to get through this important 618 here first. If we don't get through it, it's giving you an indication that this thing can reject and come back down to these lows. It can come back down to theirs, if not slightly lower. So yes, you've got the buy and it's amazing. Things are great. You've got your stop loss in, or things are fantastic. It's still important to know that if we don't get through here, maybe TP on some of it and get ready for the lower buys. Okay, because you don't want to become bag holders anymore. Who's tired of holding bags? Who's tired of holding bags in the red? Who's tired of holding bags in the fear? It's terrible, right? So we got to always make sure. Now, if it gets through that 618, it indicates you that it's going to go to the next 618. So what you do is on your Fibonacci, you click on this over here and you go down and you make sure you got 0.618, 1.618, 2.618, and 3.618. Okay, so make sure you have these in here. The rest of them, guys, you can unclick them and remove them. Okay, specifically for this over here. If you don't have it here, just erase it and type it in, 1.618. Okay, there we go. And it will give you the levels. So if we get through the 0.618, it goes to the next one. Okay, now I'll show you in a quick example of this. Let's go through here and let's go through on Bitcoin. Let's go Bitcoin and let's just remove this through here quickly. Okay, let's go out, let's go out, let's go out. I just want to show you this because it's very important to understand. So if you go look over here at this previous run from Bitcoin, from this area of this 19,000 was the high in 2017. We came all the way down to around $3,000 in 2020. If you take a Fibonacci, like I just told you now, because you want to work out your fibs the other way now. If you take it from this point down to this point, and you have those levels that I taught you guys, that I just showed you, and you take it to the bottom, cool. Okay, so look what happened firstly. Firstly, price went up the first time, didn't get through it. Remember what I just told you, where if you don't get through the 618, it can come back down to the lows. It's exactly what it did, right? It came straight back down to the lows until what? The one day that it finally broke it. Okay, now that it finally broke it, what did it do? Went to the next one. Not only did it go to the next one, it broke the next one, tested it as support, and went to the next one. Broke it, tested its support, and went to the next one. And my highest that I always stand by, which I think is you don't always get, and by the time we get, I'll explain to you guys the exit strategy on this now, is look how it went all the way to the 3.618. Now what I do is I take the same thing. Now let's go look at this previous high cycle and previous low. Now, why am I doing this, guys? It's because I want you to start thinking where these things can go. I want you to start understanding what to do if it does happen, if these levels start breaking. There's no doubt about it that Bitcoin can go into the 100,000s in the future. No doubt about it. What the hell are you going to do when it gets there? Where are you going to go? What do you like? You have to have understanding. Now, these tools are amazing. So if you take here the next high to the low, from the high down to the low, where was the first time we stopped? Look here, we literally went up, straight over here. We just tagged 48,000 and we rejected until what? The day we finally broke it. Look what happened when we broke it. We started pushing really strong to the upside. Now, if you start looking at the areas, these are the zones. Okay, so what I did over here, and let me just show you the zones, 100K, 160K, 200K. This is how we're going to start thinking. Okay, now again, we're going to track this as it goes up and see the level, but that's where you got to start thinking your brains. You got to start expanding it now, because you're going to, if you're unprepared, if it happens, you're going to end up getting caught, right? So the next thing I want to show you here quickly, let's just get back over here. There we go. So here's a little bit of a technique, and I'm going to show you guys on all the coins. So when I explain all the altcoins, now you see them. The first thing you want to do is you are buying the major level over here, the same way that I just spoke about here. This is what you're getting here, and you're buying on the breaker trends. The next thing is be prepared that if we go up and we reject, just be prepared that we can come back to down to the zones. You can take advantage to buy more. You can do whatever you want. Just be aware of it. If we get through it, we shoot to the 1618. Now, what I do there, okay, is I would take 30 to 50% of profits on that position. I'll update my stop loss, and I'll put in a momentum trend line. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that if this token was pumping up like this, came down with the pullback now, and then started getting through, and it got through that important 618, and now it's rallied up, and it's got up to that next important 1.618, you get something called a momentum trend line. And I want you to just put that trend line in. So it's a trend line that's at the bottom, that's riding that momentum. For like how strong your token is, you're just riding it. And then what you're doing is you are taking your profits, your 40%, and you are just keeping your stop loss under that momentum line as it goes up. So if the markets tank at any moment will turn, it will stop you out of a good position, take you out with a bunch of profits. But the next thing that it will also do, it will allow you to ride it for as long as you hold momentum. So if it holds momentum and decides to keep going to the upside, you know, and this thing ends up going to 2.618, which is the next level, this, by the time we get to, I'm 80% out of the position, and I'm leaving 20% for the blow off top. Now, why, guys? Because what you don't understand is this is showing you extensions. It's showing you the market really starts to rampage and starts to euphoria sort of stage, right? And what you don't understand is this is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of percents when it comes to the actual tokens and things like that. So this is forcing you to take profits and to leave some in for your degen side. You know, the side that tells you this thing's gonna go to 10 billion or whatever it is, that degen side. Yeah, by the time we get there, you're 80% out and you're leaving it. And for me, by the time we get to 3.618, I'm 100% out of the position. Okay, we got this, guys. We got this. Sniper Club, be aware, I'm posting this now in the sniper chart section now, coming straight after the show. Okay, next thing. Now we can jump in and we can start looking at what I was just speaking about with these specific tokens. So if we look over here, Casper's in the buy zone. Where do I need it to get back above? You take your fib from the top to the bottom. That's where I need it to get it back above. If it doesn't get back above there, it does mean it can come back down, and that's okay. I'm prepared for that. I understand that if that happens, okay? If it gets through that, let's talk about the levels. And so the levels of where we can go to. You're looking at 24 cents over here as they extend it to the upside. If we look at the next one, so let me just see, my computer's freezing a little bit. 2618, and the next one after that gives you an idea of around 30 cents. So what does that mean in your head? It means that what you're buying now could end up being a 200 to 300% entry. It gives you that understanding, especially if alt season starts. Remember, we did not see alt season just yet. So if alt season kicks in now, all of a sudden, these things do become possibilities and do become realities. So now you got the understanding of the push over there. So Casper's in the buy for me. The next one's over here is Fetch. So if I look at Fetch, the first thing again, I want to go look, hey, this is a big leg here. Where did we bounce? Is it a strong zone that we bounced? I'd take us up to the upside, and we got exactly 618. Okay, that's where we bounced. Now, the next thing I was looking at was breaking trend, which we've done, and we're retesting now. So for me, this is a good area of getting some sort of Fetch. Now, AI has been big. All of these things have been big, and Fetch has been a monster. It's been really, really, really good. And this is where I want to be getting it. This yellow box over here is where I want to maybe protect myself. Okay, if I want to put a stop loss, if it's super important money to you, put a stop loss. Okay, if there's no, if it's okay and you got time, you can leave it for the next 2 years. Cool, that's fine. Just manage it. If we do lose this momentum trend here, just manage it. Okay, very important. But there, if we get past the 0.618, you could see my targets. I have 90% from where we are right now to my 1.618. That's a great entry. That's a really good entry where we're at. The next one that we have over here is COTI. COTI pulled back massively into these major zones over here. COTI is a great coin. And for me, I've been buying. I did buy. I'm out of dollars officially at the moment. I went all in last week, and I'm happy. My portfolio is up 20% since last week by going 100% into dollars. Why? Because of the conviction, the pin bar candle, the stock. Like, you got to have conviction with what you're doing. Here's COTI over here in the zones. My main 618. You see what's nice about this, guys, is not only are you entering a good phase, even if we decide to go bearish later on, you are still in the capabilities here of making great money. You're still at this point here of literally entries that can make you 70% just to normal 618. If they end up becoming the major entries, look at what it results in. So one after this is injective protocol. It's in a buy zone for me. It's in a great zone for me. This is something that's been rallying high up. I like it when we are buying things that are at great specials. So if we go look at the top to the down to where we are now, you are 53% cheaper than what you were a couple of weeks back. So for me, this is a really nice one. This is a great coin, firstly, but I also like that it's 50% off. The next thing is, where obviously did it bounce? Did it bounce in an important area? Okay, and I can guarantee you, if I take this from the bottom to the top, we would be back above the 618. Now, guys, sometimes there is crazy little wicks. Always be aware, wicks are there and they manipulate it and it catches everyone out. Nonetheless, you look at that, look what we closed, look what we're holding. We're still holding it to this day. We're still doing incredible, is the 618 zone. So now that we know that it was a good zone, break a trend, this is my entry. This is my first target here, which is the 40 mark. And then the next one is $75. I believe injective can get to 75, if not $100 as bull markets. This is showing that too. So these entries can be really big for that play there. The next one here, pay attention to, because this one will be slightly different. This one is already on 618, which means as an investor, someone that likes Sui, this is a place to dollar cost. No matter what, just dollar cost. But the next thing I also want you to pay attention to is the trend. So we're forming a bullish pattern. So I want to remind you again, if we click here, bullish pattern, this one here. It came down hard. It's making this funny little angle over here, this falling wedge. When we break the top is when we get incredibly bullish quickly. So if you look over here, we're actually forming a bullish pattern. Where people think this is bearish, it's actually bullish that we're forming. So keep an eye on this trend break here. So it means get your position, start filling up in your position. If you want to protect yourself, use the previous low here or this wick over here if you want to. Again, if it's important money or any leverage or anything like that, guys, put a damn stop loss. Don't play around with games over here. Leverage is starting to warm up again. So remember, a wick is coming. Don't get caught out on the wick. But this is a great one to be buying. Fundamentally, we know is amazing. I've been speaking to Ran about it. He's obviously incredibly bullish on it. So a break of this trend is amazing. And again, just to this area over here, looking at 50%. And if we start looking at what these entries could mean, if we start going up to the higher views, you could see that this is looking at around $3. So this could end up being a very powerhouse entry. Another coin that got really smashed really hard, which I think is at a good zone to enter, is 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 came down from $2.20 all the way to $1. You're sitting on around 55-60% down on 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Now, you can go do your research on 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and if you like it and things like that. Me personally, I still think it's amazing. I did get brutally hit. Now, brutally hit does mean that, hey, like they don't hold too good to the downside. However, on the other side, also looks like sometimes you need these big crashes or these big things to get incredible opportunity, right? Because this thing, I remember when it launched at $1, everyone was so bullish around the whole world on this thing, and now it's back at $1. So firstly, where it bounced was good, but the next thing is I got a very strong trend. So remember, you also want to look at many touches on the trend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches over here. Really good, and we're popping through here. So this one, you could see I got some short-term take profits here, where I'm actually getting out of the trade. Just because I need to make sure that this thing's still super strong. However, if you are an investor or you want to invest in this token, I think it's a great area of investing. And you can do the same tools that I just taught you now of where this could be going. And it does show areas of $4, $6 in the future as well. But there's the buy zone, guys. That's where I'll be putting my stop loss if it's a super important cash. The next one over here is 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Guys, these are great tokens. These were tokens that were so expensive 3 months ago. They were so hard to buy. And that they're cheaper again. They're a lot cheaper now. So this was sitting nearly $4. Now it's sitting at $2.10. It bounced incredibly well on the 618. Just want to show you. Take fib from the bottom to the top. Why does this fib keep moving? From the bottom to the top gives you 618. This is where we bounced last time. Okay. So this is the major area over here. We've now broken trend. This for me would be the buy zone on 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. This is where I'll start building my position over here. Again, go do me a favor. If you like, but Sheldon, is this medium risk, high risk? What is it? Just go look what it did to the downside. Okay, so a 40% is around the sense of, it's around a medium risk sort of for me. I know it's crazy. 40% drop is like, it's insane with stock markets and things like that. But for us, that's medium risk. Okay? and then you obviously got your low risk, which is basically your Bitcoin, your ETH, and things like that. The next one, guys, again, don't fade, is Phantom. So Phantom bounced on 618 perfectly. This one it hasn't broken trend just yet. So there's two areas you can buy this token. The one is buying it in these supports here. And you can put a stop loss if you want over there. Nonetheless, but this is an area where you can start dipping your toes. Why? Because it's looking quite strong on the shorter time frames. And why I like that is because I know that we're about to approach the higher time frame trend there too. So where it bounced here was firstly really bullish and really good. But secondly, where we're at now is we're approaching the major trend. So this is one that hasn't broken trend that I can catch. That's not on the retest yet, but I will do it in 2 buys. I'll do some buys over here, and I'll wait for it to break its quick retest, and that's where I'll buy the rest. But nonetheless, if we look at some targets for Phantom, this is one token that got really bullish, done really well. The weekly stocks at the bottom, even to Bitcoin. So there's a lot of good things in favor chart-wise that this should perform really well when the market starts to really extend again. You got your first areas here, which is back at $1, which is really nice. It's already 40%. But then you start looking at your 1618, and that's at 1.6. So again, this could end up being incredible entries. I believe Phantom could go back to 2, if not 3. I think with what they're building, all the new tech, all the new things, I think there's another really massive run in Phantom. And remember, Phantom was a very high performer in the last bull market. But it is terrible to hold in the bear market. So I'm sorry, guys, but we're going to buy a whole bunch of good stuff now. We're going to make a lot of money. And then I'm going to be screaming to be like, guys, this stuff is not good for bear markets. When the weekly stocks at the top, like, let's get out. Let's get out. I know it's amazing. I know it feels great. I know it's going to change the world, but we have to because they don't hold well. They come all the way down from $3 all the way down to 20 cents. Huh? I'm not holding that crap again. I'm not. Like, I love the token to bits and I love it to the upside. Remember, this only just came out of bear phase over here. Finally putting its first weekly higher high. Retested this. This is called resistance into support. This is what you want to be buying on these plays. And look how crazy the fib. If I use the 1.618 here, look how it lines up perfectly with this 1.1618 area over here. Incredible. This resistance over here, sorry. Really, really, really powerful. I got a few more here, guys. Just before I get into that, I just want to remind you guys here, we have a Champions Arena, Trade Collect and Trump battle for $1 million prize pool. This is CoinW. You've got a competition running at the moment. So if you're hot in the charts, you're a trader kicking ass, here. You can use my link below if you want to open up account on CoinW. And then we have this over here, which is called Origin. Now, a lot of people are swapping, right? When you're swapping on Uniswap, and you know the fees have always been incredibly expensive and a lot of things like that. So you have this thing called Origin. Go below in the description. You can go find out more about it. But basically, they got their tokens. And if you're holding their tokens, and if you're using this over here, which is CowSwap, I don't know if you used it before, but you end up saving a lot of money on fees, guys. One thing that we keep doing is we lose a lot of money when it comes to fees within Uniswap, things like that. These guys are helping a lot with that. And when you actually make the transaction, they show you the amount that you're saving just by using this and the amount of fees that you're saving. Guys, it's going to save you a lot of money. So if you want, go below, go click on the Origin link in the description. It'll show you the integration. You can see over here, they integrated with Cow, with 1inch, with Origin themselves over here, and you could see the integration between these over here and how if you hold their tokens, how it gets cheaper and all of these sort of things. But I know there's a lot of people buying things on MetaMask, and there's a lot of people buying things on Uniswap. If you want to save money, I know fees are stupid. Dude, they're crazy. I can't believe how crazy they are. This will save you a lot of it. So that's what they're about. That's what they do. Go below. Shout out to them. Much love to them. Next one over here, guys, is Beam. Okay, now I believe that gaming is getting to a great area. Now, Beam is not breaking trend now, but it is in dollar costing zone. It's hovering on your 1.618. Okay, hovering. There's my 1.618 over there. It's hovering over here. Guys, Beam was one of the hottest projects that we're running in the beginning of the year, and finally it cooled down. And that was the main thing for me. I was annoyed because it was a little bit too far up when everyone was buying it, everyone was speaking about it. But now we finally had a decent retracement. We finally came down from the areas up here. So I just want to pop through this over here. We're looking around 44. It's actually held better than Solana. Crazy. This thing held better than a lot of these bigger player tokens over here. But this one's at an area that is showing that maybe in the next 2-3 weeks we'll actually break trends and start the major rally. Again, you can go look at what these rallies are. You can see I have a % up there, and I got higher points of views too. Nonetheless, this one's in dollar costing. Now, I want to remind you that in this phase of opening up your portfolio, you got to think of things like gaming and AI and maybe a little bit of memes. Go for it. Like I'm not joining it much, but go for it. I don't even own GUMMY. I don't own GUMMY. I own a little bit of 𝗏𝗏𝗧. But other than that, I don't own much memes at all. But my mom, on the other hand, I think DJs into a lot of these things. So start thinking gaming. Start thinking gaming sort of aspect, because we never had a gaming. We had the first little rally of the gaming, and that was all this rally here. And this is looking at the next one. So Beam is a really nice one. It's in a good area. And I also know it's incredibly strong fundamentally. I know that Hustle's been so bullish on this thing for a long time. Amazing. Guys, the next one for me is THORChain. Now, THORChain is back at the original 618 over here, right? So where this area is, you could see, yeah, this is a hot zone of where THORChain, $4 is like a great area to accumulate some more. But what we are seeing is a little bit of a trend break. Now, guys, I don't want to take this trend break too seriously on Rune just yet. To say that it's going to go up right now, okay? Nonetheless, it is showing slight signs of a little bit of a trend break. This ideally would be the better buys. If we can get Rune over here, which is this area over here, and maybe we are blessed with it, maybe we do end up getting it, it would be this area of around, you know, this $4.8, $5 sort of mark would be slightly better. Okay. Now, we have bounced 618, and we should actually go up from here. The targets are crazy. We look at the next targets. We're looking at $16, $20, like, and I believe THORChain can get there. It's just about catching the good buy. Now we have this trend over here that we have started to break. The only problem is, guys, it's only a 2-touch trend. So I want to remind you again, when it comes to trend lines are great, but I don't want you to think that they work 100%. It's very simple with a trend line. If you have something that comes down twice, it's an average trend line. It means you've got a 50% chance that it's going to work. Okay, if it has 3 touches, then you have a 60% chance it's going to work. If it has 4 touches, then you have a 70%. If it has 5 touches plus, you have an 80%. Okay, you'll never have 100%, but 80% is very high probabilities when it comes to getting it correct. So that's just very important to understand, because a lot of people will take a simple trend line break as super serious. Guys, if you can catch any trends that have 5 to 6 to 10 touches, you got I would say you win 8 out of 10 times to 9 out of 10 times, you'll catch it right. But that's important to understand. So what that means is I would use a 50% rule here on Rune. I would, because it is breaking a short-term trend, I'd put maybe 30, 40, 50% of what I want to buy of Rune over here, and I'd wait to see if we smash through here. The next area that I would want to buy is either down here, or it pushes through this high over here, pushes through, retest, and goes, and that's where I'd like to get a bit more. Nonetheless, guys, Rune is on special. Rune has come down really good. It came down all the way from $12 to $5, even came down to $4. So that was a massive. So you don't want to hold Rune in bear markets because it doesn't hold very well. That's a very big drop. That's a 62% drop. So this is terrible to hold to the downside, but incredible to hold to the upside. And remember, if you look at the simple signs, we're in a good area, and the RSI flat line at the bottom. And I actually want to see the next one over here, which is the, hold on. I actually want to see THORChain here to Bitcoin. I want to see if that's at the bottom. Then it's amazing. If this is at the bottom too, this will be great. Yeah, at the bottom. Fantastic. Cool. So it just shows you that that's you see what we're doing. We're simplifying, we're slowing it up, we're moving it to the higher time frames. And let's just see. Oh, look at this. Why does all my tokens change position? The next one here, guys, is Super Farm as well. So Super did bounce on the 618, which was nice. Just keep an eye on this trend line. So guys, something is telling me gaming. Just keep an eye on it. They're not breaking out yet. However, I do think they're going to be a powerhouse running. So Super Farm was also quite expensive. This thing's back down. Keep an eye on this trend over here, guys. Remember, as long as that's a good trend, right? 1, 2 touches. So that's a nice trend. As long as we're below the trend, it can keep trickling down. But the day it pops it, just be aware of it. So Super's another one just to keep your eyes on for the gaming side of the portfolio. We got another one as well here. GRT. So GRT is showing a little bit of strength. There's a little bit of a daily breakout over there at the moment. So GRT, remember, take your fib from the top to the bottom. It will give you your levels. But GRT is also a nice, really strong one. I got a couple of ones I want to up unstoppably. Sheldon. What does that mean? Can't stop me. I'm running, bro. I'm running. I just want to see something quickly. Just want to have a look at quick. Let's just see. Okay. Cool. The next ones I just want to update you guys on quickly, which is a couple of them, which is Render. So those who are holding Render, your token's doing well. The token's doing very well. So render's waking up pretty strong at the moment, guys. It's just fighting the 618. So that's why you could see I've put in two scenarios. Let me just quickly put this to the right over here. There's the right. So you could see here, it's right at that 618. Guys, if this thing gets through 618, the next one, you'll see the next target here is 18 bucks. Okay, now remember, guys, for those who heard, oh, 18, that's a lot of money. I can make that amount of money. Like, no, but you're buying in a terrible position because look at the two plays here. If you buy here, you can also face this. You can face a 20-30% loss first. And that's a better buy. So be aware of that, okay? So me personally, I wouldn't buy more of Render now. However, those who are holding it, this thing's looking good, guys. It's one of the top runners at the moment. It's done like 40% last week. Like, yes, Render. Render was one of the leading ones last time, and it's waking up very strongly now as well. We have 𝗕𝗓 as well, guys. 𝗕𝗓's on the verge of a short squeeze. So 𝗕𝗓 held so well. I'm very impressed with this token. It held really, 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 and it actually recovered incredibly strong too. So 𝗕𝗓's at a strong level, at a possible level here of a squeeze. So you look at the squeeze levels, possible level of a squeeze. Once it gets through the highs, again, what you can do is you can take your Fibonacci from the top to the bottom, and you can look at the levels. This one got through 618. You see how it stopped here? And now it's finally through it. So for me, the next 618, $12 𝗕𝗓 would be amazing, huh? That'll be fantastic. A few others as well. Keep an eye on things like Algo. Algo is also showing some strength, sitting there over a little break trend. This would be nice for maybe some short-term traders if you're interested in that. Things like Uni, if you still believe in it. I know it got smashed, but smashing for me, like if I remember the last time it crashed to the crazy levels, like it's back over here again, and it is breaking some sort of trend. So if you're into DeFi, keep an eye on that. Tokens like 𝗟𝗏𝗡𝗏, really, really, really good at the moment. It's really strong. Like, look where it bounced, guys. Perfectly on the 0.618. Next thing is we look at this. It's through this 618, which is really good. So the next target here is around $60. It does have to get through the highs first. And then 𝗟𝗏𝗡 will be on its way. Is there any optimism? Did I show optimism? There's optimism as well. Optimism break. This bounced on 618 beautifully. That's a little push there as well. So guys, keep loading up. Be patient with it. I think in this week, maybe there's one little shake of Bitcoin to that 60. That's cool. Nonetheless, I think last week's pin bar candle's strong. And I think if there's anyone now to be bought up, and I think from next week, if we don't start waking up in the next few days now, I think from next week, we're going to start rocketing. So don't be afraid. Take it off. Have a plan behind every single one of them. Use what I did to go rewatch it. Remember to join Sniper School. If you haven't done Cyber School yet, and just come have a basic view, but don't be afraid. Let's run this strong. We're at the perfect time, perfect moment. There was fear in the market. We bought it up. Things are looking great. Anything else?
So a lot of people complaining that Bubbles is glitching. We know that.
They fixing Bubbles.
Close the tab and open a new tab and restart.
Okay, close the tab, open new tab, and restart it if you're struggling with Bubbles, guys. Sorry, guys. We have the strongest community in the world. Like when you have 200,000 people on this app every day, like the tech we're fixing it. We are on it, I promise. Guys, have a fantastic day. Much love to you all. See you tomorrow.